Hey, how's it going, guys? Domino Paris 21 here, and back again with yet another deck profile for you all. So of course the deck I have to present to you guys is my very well anticipated Eradicator deck. Of course this is my updated Eradicator deck post set 10. Now for this deck, it's definitely a deck that I've been very excited for ever since Eradicators has been introduced in the earlier episodes of Season 3 of the anime. So definitely been doing a good amount of testing with the deck, figuring out some builds that I like, and actually recently took this to my locals and was able to go undefeated with it. So all I could say is that this deck is just really amazing, and I definitely anticipated definitely making a scene in the tournament play. So so without further ado, let's actually get to it. So for starters, you have your Eradicator Linchu. Now, Linchu, I'd say, is the best starter to come out for Narukami in general. Now, what he does is, whenever he boosts an Eradicator unit and it hits your opponent's Vanguard, you counterblast 1, put him in Soul, and you retire a grade 1 or less rearguard. Grade 1 or less, so that's already an automatic upgrade from Lizard Soldier Saishin, who can only kill grade 0s. So obviously, of course, this is a starter killer. But what I like with Linchu, of course, the fact is he can kill grade 1s as well. If my opponent has like a generic, mediocre starter that's not really essential to their deck, a lot of times I'll just leave him on the field and I'll save it until my opponent drops a valuable grade 1. But of course, if my opponent continues to see this on my field, it gets awkward for him to try and create a field. So definitely he can create a lot of pressure from the start. So definitely the best starter to play. Now next up, for grade 3s, which is like the best part of the deck, you have your 3 copies of Eradicator, Gauntlet, Buster Dragon, or I don't know, me and my friends have like different names for this card. I like to call him Gauntlet Busted Dragon just because like this card is just amazing. The more I've been playing with this deck, the more this deck has definitely been growing to be one of my favorite cards in the game overall. And definitely, I'd say like he's probably the card I enjoy most playing in the deck. So what he does is Limit Break 4. Whenever one of your opponent's rear guards is put into the drop zone by one of your card effects, he gains +3 in a crit. Now, of course, what makes this card really amazing is that he can stack. So obviously, if you retire 2 units, which is pretty easy to do in this deck, he'll gain +6 and 2 crits. So really good. There's actually a few times where my opponent tried to rush me early and I just punished him for it. Like I swung for like 42 crit 5. A few games, so really good. Of course, this Limit Break, it's really good just to punish opponents who try to rush you too early, because obviously if your opponent tries to commit to the field and rush you and give you a lot of damage too quickly, then I mean they're most likely gonna die by getting one-shotted with this card. So really good. What I really like, of course, with Gauntlet Buster Dragon, which makes him the ideal card I like to open with, is the secondary skill. So his secondary skill is Counterblast 2 Eradicators in your damage zone, and your opponent chooses one of his rear guards and retires it. So what makes this really good, of course, is keep in mind is that this is not a limit break effect. So he's really good early game. So when your opponent has a smaller field and they're trying to create try to assemble a field for their offense, he could definitely help control the field for your opponent. So especially good against decks like Spike Brothers or Novas that definitely rely on a good field for their offense. So really good card to open with. So, and I really like the artwork on this too, so really looks badass. And next up for grade 3s, of course, you have the Brokenness himself, 3 Eradicator Dragon Descendant. Now Descendant, of course, I'd say he's probably the best finisher in the game. I mean, there's definitely a lot of arguments to it, but he's definitely a very annoying card. And he definitely can make a lot of people rage just for his skill. So I'd say like if a card can make an opponent annoyed or ragey and such, it's a pretty good skill. So what he does is Limit Break 4. Whenever he attacks your opponent's Vanguard and it does not hit, you can Counterblast 1 and discard 3 Eradicators from your hand, and then he gains a crit. So of course what makes this card really annoying is when your opponent is dealing with this card at 4 damage, it's usually his best interest to no guard him when he attacks the Vanguard. Just because, and hope you don't hit a crit. Just because you're gonna end up just bleeding your hand out trying to defend him. Just the fact that he gains a crit when he stands up just makes him so pesky. And the secondary skill is really what makes this card even stronger for his limit break, which is counterblast 2 Eradicators, and he gains +5. So it's a very, you know, simple skill, but it just allows it so that obviously it forces out more cards. A lot of times you do want to wait until your opponent's at 5 damage to, you know, go to use the secondary skill. Just because obviously when your opponent's at 5 damage, it's guaranteed that he has to guard it. So definitely one of the best cards of the game. I mean, there's a reason why this card was limited in Japan, and he's like $30 or so. But yeah, but now I am running 3. I mean, it is argued that 2 can be enough because he is a finisher in the deck. I just like to run 3, just because I want to be able to see him consistently game to game. Because I remember I was testing it with 2, and I wasn't just seeing him, you know, every game as I wanted. So although like Gauntlet Buster Dragon can close out a lot of games for you anyway. And even if you ride him first, it's not the end of the world. I mean, the minute your opponent hits 4 damage, he's already starting pressuring, and if you have any spares in your hand, he's 11k beater, so I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And then finally for grade 3s, you have 2 Break Rides. I only run 2, just because like the Break Ride by himself individually is not very effective, so like Break Riding over himself is not that great. He does synergize really well to either make a big push with Descendant or enable Gauntlet Buster, so he's still really good. But if I don't open with them, like I said, it's not the end of the world. Ideally, I like to open with Gauntlet Buster anyway. So here, but I mean, he does help close out a lot more games, just for, like I said, how much synergy he has with Gauntlet Buster and Descendant. So 2 is perfectly fine. He can also, the Break Ride can sometimes be a little bit inconsistent too as well, but he still works out. Next up for grade 2s, you have 4 Spark Rain Dragon, 12k attackers. Simple as that. Not much more to say. 4 Eradicator Cho Ou, really good enabler in the deck. What he does, so when you place him on the field, you take one of your Eradicator rear guards, put it in Soul, and retire one of your opponent's units in the front row. Obviously, of course, you can combo it with Gauntlet Buster. Since he doesn't use Counterblast, you can use his skill, then use Gauntlet Buster's secondary skill to pump him up like twice. And with the right booster, you get hit for like 27 crit 3, so really good. Cho, like I said, does use Counterblast, and he can help control the game state in your favor. So really good card, definitely like 4. And then 3 Zuitan. Zuitan is just your damage on flipper when he hits your opponent's Vanguard on flip, and then you Soul Charge 1. The Soul Charge is not very beneficial for this build because I'm not running any Soul Blasting cards like Rising Phoenix or Sweep Command and such, but he still works out. And I mean, if you can't get your hands on Zuitans, just because the price has jumped for him a little bit, I mean, he's like the $10 range or less. 10k beaters as well, like Thunderboom is a good alternative as well, but Zuitan's really good, just because you do use your Counterblast a lot. He could definitely come in clutch for you. Next up for grade 1s, you have your 4 Demolition Dragon, just K-clones. It's pretty nuts how now you can get cards like this that can attack for 10 and boost for 7 in a trial deck as a common, so it's pretty good though. Really amazing card, of course. For Perfect Guards, Eradicator Perfect Guards, it's very important that they're Eradicators, just helps with consistency. For Shukis, definitely with Shuki, he's the best grade 1 in the deck. He shares the same power boost as Gauntlet Buster. Whenever you retire one of your opponent's rear guards, gains +3, and it can stack. So you can like put him behind the Gauntlet Buster when you're trying to like slam your opponent to one-shot them to hit some pretty big numbers. You rarely do that, but what's nice with Shuki, of course, is just retiring one unit makes him a 10k booster. So you can obviously, you know, make your rear guard columns hit that 15k block mark tier, which is really good. So he helps build added pressure with your rear guards on top of like your opponent still dealing with their pesky Vanguards. So really amazing card. And then last but not least, I am running 2 Vanguard boosters. This was kind of like a last minute thing I've done before the tournament, but these definitely can help you just simply hit for 21 in the Vanguard column if you're not enabling any skills. And he can definitely come in clutch for you sometimes, you know, like if you're standing up with Descendant, with this special Counterblast, he'll sink for 26 with the second attack. So if your opponent doesn't have a perfect guard, he's definitely gonna be in trouble. So these cards are pretty good. Definitely comes in clutch for you. And last but not least, for triggers, you have just 8 crit. Really glad that Eradicators has 2 sets of crits, so really good for consistency, for Eradicator draw, and for heal. Just pretty simple. Just a simple aggressive lineup for an aggressive deck. So yeah, overall, you know, nothing too special with the deck necessarily. This deck is just, like I said, really fun to play. Well, at least for you, not for your opponent. And definitely very powerful, so definitely one of the best decks in our meta right now. And overall, that's pretty much it. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, leave a thumbs up in the video, and I'll definitely try to get some matches out for you guys. So I have some matches I have lined up that I'm trying to, you know, get together with friends and definitely record for you guys. So so yeah, like I said, guys, thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.